everybody, this is Wallguy back with part 3 of my Warfighter talk. If you missed any of the previous episodes, you can find them up there in the right hand corner in their links. Or you can visit my channel page. I threw together a playlist containing the entirety of the series. If you watched Meowth's most recent video, we started this thing where we challenge our viewers to try to guess the song in the opening sequence. Now sometimes that's easy and sometimes that's not, and I think this is one of those times that it's not so easy. So the first person to guess the artist and the song, if possible, will win awesome points. Now, I think this one in particular is awfully difficult. I really don't think any of you will be able to guess it, but there might be some person who's just cool enough to know. So the challenge has been thrown out there. Do your best and go after those awesome points. Now what the hell are awesome points? Well, awesome points is the only currency that the awesome catalog takes. And the awesome catalog is full of awesome things like imaginary Lamborghinis, imaginary mansion in the Bahamas, or that imaginary fast boat you've always wanted. It's all there, and you can only get them with awesome points, so I think you want those. And if no one can guess the artist or song within 48 hours of our video posting, we will keep the awesome points for ourselves and buy ourselves that imaginary Medal of Honor Warfighter beta we always wanted. And then I'll post the artist and song in the comments in case anyone still wants to know. Now quickly about this gameplay, it's obviously one of those rare cruise missile gameplays. Oh, I spoiled something. Cruise missile. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I was lying. But it's one of those rare cruise missile gameplays on Kandahar Marketplace that you don't see too often. What's the need for secrecy? I mean, pretty much all of our videos have a cruise missile in it anyway, and that's not why this particular gameplay is especially interesting. I like this one because I almost forget to die, and I think that's pretty cool. Because usually mine and Meowth's aggressive style warrants about 10 to 12 deaths. But this worked out a little bit different because, surprise, surprise, my team actually sort of kind of wanted the objectives. And we were able to lock down all 3 objectives for the majority of the round, which lightened my usual burden of having to continually fight back and retake ground so my team can help take the objectives. And I could, for once, focus a little bit more on just killing people over and over again, which is just what I like to do most. So, good times were had by, well, me at least. Alright, finally onto some Warfighter talk. Now, a lot of back and forth has been had lately amongst the internet community about, oh, is Medal of Honor Warfighter going to be a Battlefield of Duty or, you know, whatever, some sort of combination of Call of Duty and Battlefield. And that seems to be a very predominant thought. But I don't really go that way. I think people too often are trying to pigeonhole games into those categories, like that's really all there is to it. I mean, FPS games have been around for a long time before either of those series, especially Call of Duty, and while those series have been influential, they don't by themselves define either close quarters or more sparse open combat. Now, will there be aspects of those games retained in Medal of Honor Warfighter? Of course. I mean, all of these series influence each other over time and bite the good ideas and some of the bad ideas too. So I don't know, I think it doesn't help to talk about it in such simplistic terms. But it's much more useful to actually talk about details about the games in question and how they stack up against each other. Now with this said, I'm not going to compare Warfighter to Call of Duty or Battlefield. Instead, what it actually reminds me of is Rainbow Six Lockdown, the venerable game that I kind of came up with and love so much. Rainbow Six Lockdown came out in 2005, late 2005 on consoles, and early 2006 on the PC in slightly different forms. I played the PC version, of course. And to be honest, I'm seeing quite a few similarities in the game design so far with Warfighter. You have the class design, which breaks people up into different groups. Now, we had that in Medal of Honor, sort of, but in Rainbow Six Lockdown, as in Warfighter, you have different classes that can have different abilities such as faster or slower running speed or different amounts of armor. Now check this out, a top 20 ranked player getting smacked down by the mighty death-dealing wonder weapon, aka my right hand, that's what she said. This person just loses it and starts saying, "Aimbot Wallguy," and is begging the admin to kick me out of the server. Now that's just embarrassing. I think higher ranked players should kind of be the ambassadors to the game and show noobs how it should be done and be a little bit more mature about things. Take your smackdowns like a man. Pretty. Maybe he's not a man, maybe he's a woman. In that case, take your smackdowns like an empowered woman. Either way, he didn't and bitched out after complaining and didn't get to stick around for the scoreboard. Anyways, back to the Warfighter talk. So we have these many different classes with different abilities, maybe different running speeds, armors, who knows. And now we also have these special abilities. Now I've got a lot of experience with just these types of things in Lockdown. In fact, the heat vision is really kind of directly from Lockdown. And the way it works is you use it and it lets you see through walls. It's basically a legal wall hack. You see through walls and that allows you to spot enemies. Now the way that doesn't become overpowered and like a real wall hack is that it had limited scope in how far you could see when you used it. So maybe there was I don't know, like a 20-foot cutoff. And also you were kind of on a battery timer and it would run out. So you couldn't just leave it on all the time. You had to kind of ration your use so you didn't run it out and end up blind. So when you turn it off, the battery slowly recharges, and when you're using it, the battery drains fairly quick. So you're not going to want to be on that for too long. And in a similar way, I'm thinking that those heavy hitters will work in a similar way. Or maybe you use them for like a burst and then it takes 10 seconds to refill. Now these types of abilities, they kind of help along each class, but don't think of them as support actions in any way. They're not overly powerful, and they just add some variety to the gameplay. That's all they're really there for. Now the big pitfall that Danger Close has to really work to avoid here, and it's a lot easier said than done, is having class imbalances. Because if you find one class being more powerful than the other classes and all the players start to prefer it, you'll have everyone playing out of one class, and that's what happened in Rainbow Six Lockdown. And if that happens, then you lose so much of the variety that the developers originally intended for the game. Now, in my next video that I do, I will probably be taking a break from the Warfighter talk, although I will continue this series at some point. I will be most likely taking on some other topics in the short term. And if you haven't seen Meowth's latest video, he talks about why he likes campers. There was some great discussion about that. Feel free to check it out in the link coming up.